Every world hides a love worth breaking for. The pass opened like a wound in the mountain ice walls, a slate sky, and a woman pushing into it with her hands wrapped in charred bandage. Each breath from Sera Vayne came out as steam. Each step hissed when her heat kissed the snow. Behind her, the south burned. Ahead, the north whispered of knives and frost. The fire inside her wanted loose. It was a live thing, pacing bone and blood. When it surged, the snow around her flashed to vapor. She pressed her palms together until sparks died under pain. "You don't own me," she told the blaze. "Not anymore." They called him the Frost. No one in the Ember Guard said it out loud. The exiled mage who broke the accord, who tried to bind elements that should never touch. They carved his name out of the records and left a warning in its place. Cold will crack you, heat will hollow you, balance is a myth. Keep to your element, keep to your oath. Sera was done with oaths that let her burn. She found him at the edge of the world, a cliff over black water, a sanctum cut from ice and obsidian, smooth as a blade. Frost wolves paced the rim, blue eyes unblinking. A door opened that wasn't a door, a shimmer of cold. He stepped through with frost clinging to his shoulders. Not white-haired, not wasted. Winter-made flesh, dark hair, pale eyes, mouth meant for silence. Power breathed from him in a visible plume. It gathered in the line of his throat, the steadiness of his stare. Her fire recoiled. For a heartbeat, it cooled. Relief made her knees weak. "You crossed the pass," he said, voice low. "Brave or foolish, likely both." Sera met his gaze. "I'm cursed." His eyes flicked to her bandaged hands and the scorch on her cloak. "I can tell. I need it broken. And I do charity work now. Not unkind, just tired. If you're Ember Guard, the crown has collars for your kind. I'm not going back to be leashed." The memory rose, sunsteel at her throat. High Priest Corin's smile, pity braided with hunger. "What did they do?" he asked, almost gently. "The Cinder Rite," she said. "I didn't agree. I didn't know." He went very still. "Then you weren't cursed," his voice sharpened colder. "You were kindled." Sera stared at her palms. The burns formed sigils, the sun line etched into skin the night she knelt under the sunspire. She had been a good soldier. She thought the rite would sharpen what she already was. Instead, something else woke. Something she couldn't cage. "I burned my unit," she whispered. One breath and the world went white, then red. I remember screaming. It didn't stop until there was only ash. His eyes lifted, something dangerous under the ice. "That wasn't you. That was a chain tied to the world heart. You know it." They took a shard of pure fire from the heart beneath the sunspire and shoved it into you, he said. They wanted a weapon that obeyed. The problem with greed is it makes terrible mages. Words gave shape to her wound. It didn't heal it, but it put the pain somewhere she could see. He stepped closer. The air between them glittered with cold and heat. He lifted a hand, slow enough to refuse. She didn't move. When his fingers touched her bandage, her fire bucked, then shuddered. Ice climbed his skin, caught her blaze, and held it with startling tenderness. Sera exhaled, almost a sob. "What are you?" she whispered. "Careful," he said softly, "or that's the last question you ask." "You're him," she said, "the Frost." He took the name like it stung. "Rian," he said after a breath, as if she deserved more than a legend. "Rian Frost." "Sera Vayne," she said. "I don't want to kill anyone else by breathing wrong." His gaze cut to hers like she'd said something true in a room that forgot truth. He nodded toward the open, not door. "Come in, Sera Vayne. If I help, we do it my way. No lies, no pride, no heroics." She hesitated at the threshold, watching her heat ripple against the cold. She took a breath and stepped through. caught her warmth and set it down gently. Inside, the sanctum's ice remembered stars. Amethyst shadows glowed beneath the surface. In the center, a glyph of interlocked circles burned faintly in frost blue light. A single sword hung on the wall, silver blue blade, with a line of winter sun down its middle. Rian watched her take it in. "You're humming," he said. "What?" "The shard in you. It's singing to the world heart. It isn't complete. That helps. It means we have options. I'll take any option that doesn't end with me exploding. Our options are unpleasant." "I'm used to unpleasant," she said. "Tell me." "We can cage it," he said. "A collar, a pause. I won't do that to you." "Thank you." "We can remove it. It'll likely kill you and half the city when it rips free. Next, or we can balance it." His eyes didn't leave hers. Ice to fire, anchor to blaze. Balance holds only if the bodies holding it hold each other. A bond, he said, quiet. Nothing fated about it. And everything. Magic isn't a story, but it listens when elements choose. What happens to us? It could break the curse. It could bind us forever. It could kill us. It could change the world in ways the crown won't forgive. Wolves patted the cliff. Wind sang. Rian waited with a patience that made her stomach knot. "I'm not asking you to save me," Sera said. "Help me save the people I haven't burned yet." Something eased in his mouth. "A higher cause, that helps." "You'll help me." "One condition," he said. She braced. "Name it." "There's a shard under lake glass," he said. "A sliver of the frost heart. They shoved fire into you. We'll take ice and stand it against what's in you. Use both to pry the right apart without breaking the world's spine." "Lake glass." He nodded. "The council exiled me before I could finish the dive. Help me get it, and I'll anchor your fire or burn trying. That's the condition. It's the only way that doesn't chain you or end the world. We do it together, or not at all." He held out his hand. She studied his palm and her burned fingers, and told herself this wasn't surrender. This was strategy. War against the right, against the thing inside her that thought it could name her anger. She put her hand in his. Heat slammed into cold. Steam rose. Her heart kicked. It didn't hurt. "Gods," she breathed. He didn't flinch. He closed his fingers until the two of them were one line of heat and frost, two notes making a chord. "You have a beautiful fire," he said, voice unsteady. "Let's teach it not to devour what it loves." Night bled into dawn on the cliff. He taught her stillness by making her move. Draw sigils with breath, not hands. Inhale on rune 1. Exhale on rune 2. Heat in, heat out. Cool the core. Keep a line between inside and sky. Her chest hurt, her fingers itched. The shard hummed. She swore. Rian laughed, surprised and warm. "You're doing it," he said, stepping closer when she wanted to argue. "Not because it's quiet, because you decided it listens to you." "It doesn't sit," she said. "It snarls." "Then snarl back." She met his gaze and did. The thing under her skin hesitated, like a wolf recognizing a wolf. He wrapped his hand in frost and passed it down her forearm while she called flame to the same line. Skin pebbled and burned at once. The air glittered. His breath steadied near her ear. "You sleep?" she asked, teeth chattering. "Rarely. Power likes its shepherd awake." "Lonely." "It's quieter than screaming," he said. On the second lesson, he let her lose control. He stood 10 paces away on ice and told her to light it. "I'll crack the cliff. I'll hold it. You can't hold me. Try me." She let the fire up. The melt was immediate, heat begging to run into the mountain's bones. Rian's hands swept up walls of ice. He met her blaze and changed shape around it, not crushing, curve, cradle. Her fire spilled into the bed he made and curled. Relief punched tears into her eyes. Again, he said, breath rough. They worked until her magic purred, and her body shook with the chill he fed her. He wrapped a fur around her shoulders and handed her spiced tea. It smelled like the Ember Market. The memory cut. She let it. Before I burned, she said, my father grew grapes outside the walls. My mother stitched midson robes. We were told pride is the first sin and passion the second. I used to touch the sunspire and swear it answered me. Rian listened like she was a map. And now I feel the city like a pulse under ice. The world heart calls to the shard. It wants the rest of me. She swallowed. I refuse to give it. I won't let you, he said before he could stop himself, and then winced at his own suddenness. Forgive me. Thank you, she said, and meant it. The first danger found them on a narrow ridge. Black dots swarmed the sky and resolved into riders on frost elk, the jagged circle sigil of the Ember Guard bright on their chests. Rian's jaw tightened. Popular today. Sera read the terrain. Ravine, then sanctum. They'll mark my home if they follow. We end it here. Surrender the bondwork, Frost, a rider called, lifting a lance tipped with stolen light. Kneel. I don't kneel, Rian said, and the air around the rider froze. Breath frosted in his lungs, he toppled, rhymed and gasping. Rest charged. Sera moved. Her heat became a thin, lethal blade close to skin, not a flare. Steel screamed against it. She ducked a lance, slid on ice, drove a heated fist into ribs. Behind her, ice cracked like thunder. Rian shaped the battlefield, icing weapons, feet, the air around faces as warning. He didn't kill unless he had to. A sunsteel lance slashed Rian's side. He grunted, knees buckling. Sera's fire howled. It wanted to run. His voice cut through it like a bell. Sera, look at me. She did. Anchor, he touched his chest, then her heart. She pressed her palm to him. Heat poured into his body. Bitter cold shot into hers. The fire found his ice and settled, panting. Good, he said, and rose between enemies with sleet and broken light. The ridge was theirs in heartbeats. He bled through the cold. Sera sealed the wound with a glow of heat, careful, steady. Who tried to claim you? He asked, voice thin. High Priest Corin. Promised a collar would keep others safe. He meant obedient. Rian flinched. The cold jumped like it had been struck. He took the other shard when they exiled me. If he used it on you, he'll try again. He doesn't know power obeys gratitude better than chains. He'll come. For both of us, Rian said. If we break what he made, we prove he is God. Lake glass wasn't glass. It was absence, dark water in a black bowl carved by something older than gods. The surface barely moved. Rian stood at the bank with his ribs bound and eyes purpled by no sleep. We go together, he said. Don't let go. If you can't find me, follow the seam where your heat meets my cold. Sounds simple, she said. It isn't, he said. You'll make it look like it is. He stepped in. The lake swallowed him thigh by thigh. Sera followed. The cold went to bone, even with her heat held close. By the time the water closed over her chest, she couldn't feel her fingers. His hand found her wrist and anchored. They went under. At first, nothing. Pressure in her ears. Cold hands that weren't hands. Panic scratched her ribs. Rian's grip tightened. Wait. Breathe with me or die. She wanted to strike the voice that told her to breathe in a lake. Then ice skimmed her face, his power cupping nose and mouth, holding a pocket of air. She inhaled. Thin, sharp, but enough. She held the seam inside her and kicked. Shapes woke below, sigils softened by time. Twin circles. Balance. older than mages, older than the first argument about love and power. Rian guided her hand to one arc. He laid his palm on the other. Frost and flame met stone, and the runes drank them. A door opened down. They fell. The shard rested like a tooth in the lake's mouth. Blue-white light, not Frost's usual blue deeper. Sera reached. Pain hit hard and total, fire roaring up her arm and hating the cold. She choked. Rian's arms locked around her, and his mouth found hers. Not a kiss, an answer. Cold poured into her, clean, curative. His breath followed. She breathed him like she had been waiting to inhale her whole life. The pain steadied enough to close her fingers around the ice. It broke surface gasping. Stars hung near and cold. Rian's hair dripped black. Sera steamed, hands shaking. He took the shard and set it in a bowl ringed in breath-painted runes. "Stay with me," he said when her knees buckled. "I'm good," she lied, and fell into his chest. The seam in her flared gold blue. Pressure went from pain to ache. His mouth brushed her ear. "Let me hold you," he said, nothing like a command. "I wasn't made to be contained," she said, voice shredded. "I was made to be held." "Then let me," he said. The storm rolled in like a black wall. Wolves howled once and went quiet. Rian pulled her into a cave in the cliff and sealed the mouth with thick ice. Wind moaned. Lightning flickered through the frost, turning the world blue-white-blue. The shard hummed until the stone sang. Sera felt the shard's cool calling to her heat. The seam inside her ached, then steadied. They sank to their knees closer, breath to breath, heat to cold. "Tell me to stop," he said at her mouth. "Stop," she smiled, raw and sure. "If I burn the world, you'll keep it from ending. If you freeze it, I'll remind you to breathe." His laugh struck her lips like a spark. He kissed her, nothing careful. The world narrowed to grip and give, the way his cold felt like salvation, the way her heat made him curse softly against her skin. Stone at her back, his hand at her throat, thumb tracing the panic bird of her pulse. Clothes became memory. The seam inside snapped bright, lit by want and fear, and the shards singing. He broke away, breath ragged. "We'll change it," he said. "We could break everything. We could fix it," she whispered against his jaw. "Trust me. I trust you." "I do," he said, surprised by his own truth. The storm beat itself apart while they found the places the other healed a particular hunger. Mist clung to skin when lightning warmed the ice. Her fire settled under his hands and didn't claw. His cold melted under her mouth and didn't bite. When quiet finally took the cave, he pressed his forehead to hers. The seam inside them pulsed like one tide. The shard calmed. The wind moved on to punish another mountain. He brushed hair from her face with a gentleness that made her ache. "You're dangerous," he whispered, reverent. "You're beautiful." She smiled like he'd finally seen her as more than a weapon. "I'm yours," she said, the cave as church, the storm their only witness. He made a sound that wasn't a word and kissed her again, softer, careful with something they'd already broken open. They slept a little. Dawn rubbed gray into ice. They became people again. "The midsun rises tomorrow," Rian said as they walked. "If the rite isn't unraveled by then, it completes itself. Then we go home," Sera said, "to break it where it started." The Accord Guard didn't return. The Crown's hunters patrolled the lowlands, but the wolves ghosted them away. They moved fast, hands brushing in the press of alleys, when Ember City finally rose, towers like poured gold, air thick with sugar and smoke, and the crowd's fever. Bells sang a lean prayer. Rian pulled his hood low. He couldn't hide the way cold walked with him, even now, softened by what they'd done. They cut through the palace kitchens. An old cook Sera knew caught her eye, grief, and recognition at once. "Girl," the woman said, "you should be dead or far gone." "Working on both," Sera said. "Service stairs," the cook muttered, nodding at a door behind flour sacks. "Go up. Break what needs breaking." "Thank you," Sera said. "Used to be love was a blessing, not a leash," the cook said, and looked away. The chamber above the world heart had a crystal floor, and a sun that never set painted on its ceiling. High Priest Corin stood at the edge with his hand on a lever weeping rune light into the world. General Malin paced behind him with soldiers in a half circle. Council mages lined the far wall, closed faces, closed hands. "Welcome," Corin said, smile rich and false. "How kind to let the city watch history." Balconies were packed. People leaned forward, expecting salvation. A child waved at Sera. She waved back because anything else would break her. "Behold," Corin called, "the returning flame I forged, and the winter that dared to test her." "That's not my name," Sera said. "What is it then, child?" he asked, indulgent. "Mine," she said. Her voice came out cool. Rian's mouth twitched like he was swallowing a smile at a bad moment. "If you break my right," Corin intoned, "the city will fall. Only I know the heart's song. Only I can tell it when to beat faster." "Heart beats because it does," Rian said. "You can't command thunder to be quiet. Stop calling arrogance holy." Malin's lip curled. "I could have you dragged through the streets." "You'll have to catch me," Rian said mildly. Corin lowered his hands. "Enough. Sera Vayne. Kneel, surrender will, and I'll soothe your curse. Lift your chin, and I'll crush it and watch what happens to the cold beside you. Choose." She had chosen on the mountain. She chose again here, in front of gods and kitchens and children. Sera stepped onto the crystal. She looked at Rian. He nodded once. Trust, like another kind of power. Heat rose through the floor, turning her bones bright. The world heart wanted her for sky. Rian walked the rim with hands behind his back, as if not touching was the only way to avoid breaking the world. "Wait," Sera said. Every head turned. "I've killed enough," she said. She didn't need to shout. The heart hummed under her voice. "I free myself and my city together, or not at all." She lifted her hand. Red glowed from within. Rian lifted his, frost blooming across his skin. They didn't touch. The air reached for both and pulled. The seam between their powers found its line. The frost shard at Rian's belt thrummed, then rose, singing. Light under Sera's feet stuttered, and then steadied. The world narrowed to a point where ice and fire met, and made a third thing: no steam, no frost, no flame. Pressure, light. A note the body knew how to sing. Corin snarled and yanked the lever. Sunlight slammed through a slit in the ceiling and hit Sera. Pain didn't take her, anger did. The right pulled on the shard in her like a hook in meat. Rian iced the crystal under his boots and sent cold into the heart itself, cooling the pull. Corin staggered. "No," he hissed. "You can't stitch to the heart." "You sewed yourself to it," Rian gritted out. "I'm unpicking." The council began to chant, weaving noise. Rian tugged at the same thread. Sera threw the sound away. She steadied on the memory of a cave and a storm and a gentle voice asking to hold her like he'd only dare ask once. "Anchor," she said. "Always," he said. She let go. Her fire poured out in a river, into the light from the world heart, into Rian's cold, into a place with no rules. The floor shook. The sunspire groaned. Wolves howled in the doorways. Malin tried to wade onto the crystal, and his boots stuck as new ice reached for him. Corin felt power leave a place he had claimed and panicked. He yanked a glass orb from his belt, the twin to Rian's shard, and hurled it at the floor to break the anchor. Rian caught it barehanded. Ice burned him, not with cold, but with everything it remembered. He shouted and didn't let go. He lifted his bleeding palm towards Sera. "Take it," he said raw. "Take everything." "No," she started. She knew the cost. "Take it," he said again, and gave her that his cold, his craft, his life if that's what it asked. She took it. The world flooded her. Too much. Perfect. Drowning and breath. The frost shards slid into place not in her chest, but in the seam between them. A hinge where halves lay down their weapons. Heat didn't snarl. Cold didn't bite. They spun together and made a new thing. The floor lit too bright to look at. Corin's mouth formed God. No sound came. He reached for the lever again. Rian looked at him with tired sorrow that said, it could have been different. "Sera," Rian said, gentle as a lover, stern as a commander. "Now." She breathed. Not magic, a decision. The light gathered into the seam narrowed to a blade. She cut. The right tore free. It screamed without sound. It ripped from her like a bad cord, from the sunspire like a rotten nail. It slammed against the roof Rian iced in an instant, fell like a ribbon of fire. Sera caught it. It burned without pain. She pulled until it was a thread, then wound it around the frost orb, her wrist, and Rian's, binding them with the thing that had tried to bind her to a false god. Corin lunged. The ribbon flashed and snapped his wrists like reeds. He screamed. Malin charged. Rian flicked 2 fingers, and the floor turned to first ice under the general's boots. Malin hit Crystal Jaw first. The council didn't move. Some were frozen by fear, some by choice. Sera's knees gave. Rian caught her. The seam inside them didn't go out. It settled into a steady pulse. The world heart thrummed beneath their feet, no longer bullied into a faster beat. The city held its breath. The ribbon dimmed and fell to ash. Sera opened her hand. The ash rose, not fell, and disappeared like a secret that refused to be told twice. Rian's face had gone bloodless. His lips were blue, not with power, but with the lack of it. He stared at his hands like they were new. "My cold," he said, dazed. "It's quiet." Sera lifted trembling palms to his cheeks. His skin was warm. The shock made her laugh on a broken breath. "I stole you," she whispered, horrified. "You took what I gave. Can you still?" He opened his hand. A fragile film of frost formed, then melted. He smiled, pain and peace together. "Enough," he said gravely. "For tea." A laugh sob hit her. "You gave everything." "So did you," he murmured, thumb brushing her mouth like he adored it. The room remembered it had an audience. Whispers rushed like surf. Corin clutched at ruined wrists and lunged for the lever one last time. A white-blue wolf flowed from shadow and put him down with clean weight. Its eyes flicked to Sera, awaiting order. "Take him," Sera said to the council, voice flat. "Let him answer to the people he called small." An old councilwoman with clever eyes bowed her head. "We will. And we will put the shards back where they belong. We were wrong to let faith dress itself as a monarchy over the world's bones." Malin groaned. Rian looked at him and away. He wanted revenge and didn't let it climb past his throat. Night in Ember City burned different, the fire of feast, not loss. Sera and Rian sat on low steps near the kitchens, shoulders touching. The cook brought tartlets. Sera cried at the first bite of lemon. Rian stole one, startled to find sweetness could be warmth without heat. "You lost your legend," she said, "the frost." "I lost what kept me from feeling my fingers," he said. "It's not a loss. You loved it." "I loved surviving." He tipped his head to her shoulder. "I think I might love living more." She threaded her fingers through his. They fit too well for a world that punished people who fit wrong. Do you regret? No, he didn't let the sentence finish. In a court of gods and kitchens, no. She smiled. Maybe there's a new accord. Theirs. Ours. He turned to her with a look that could have set the city on fire if she'd wanted. She kissed him, not desperation now, promise. He tasted like lemon and something that wasn't cold anymore and still made her shiver. I love you, she said against his mouth. It didn't feel like a collar. It felt like opening a door and inviting winter to grow flowers. He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. I love you, he said back. The first day you looked at your hands like knives. Now you hold everything, even when it hurts. She laughed, surprised. What? Your fire remembered it was meant to warm, he said softly. My frost remembered it was meant to soften. They kissed again, lazy now. The city cheered, and they let it. Wolves sprawled at their feet, snoring like small boats. The councilwoman sat a step below and didn't speak, as if silence could bless. Lanterns floated the river. The sunspire leaked a gentler light. When the moon rose, Sera stood and held out her hand. Rian took it. They went back into the sunspire to the chamber above the heart. He set the frost shard on a pedestal. The councilwoman's ritual was simple enough to hurt. From the world, she said, for the world, kept by none, guarded by all. Sera lifted Rian's hand and kissed the scar the shard had burned into his palm. He looked at her like she'd lit a candle inside him. She thought of storms and caves and days ahead where balance would be work and choice, not luck. They walked out into dawn. The cold didn't leave the air. The heat didn't either. They mixed in a breath that smelled like snow and oranges. The streets emptied to lovers and fights and breakfasts. The sun reached for the horizon, patient and bright. Sera Vayne, once a weapon, now a woman who knew the use of her own hands, looked at the man who had been a warning and saw a future. Dangerous. Hard. Theirs. Choose me tomorrow, she said. Every day, he said, smiling the kind of smile that melted frost and turned breath into prayer. They went down the steps and into the street, and then toward the world. They had promises to keep, wolves to feed, a new accord to write by living it, a rumor to become one that would make kids touch the sunspire and swear their hearts answered. At the gate, Sera looked back once at the place that had called her unholy. She breathed. It didn't scorch. Rian squeezed her hand. She squeezed back. Love is the one element that refuses to obey, she said. Half to the dawn, half to him. Good, he said. Let it rule. They walked into a morning that would remember them. The seam between them pulsed. The world hummed. She chose the fire, and the fire chose her. When the frost reached for it, neither bowed. They bound, and together they burned clean.